Good morning, everyone. I'm Bill Essayli. I'm the first Assistant U.S. Attorney for the U.S. Attorney's Office. Today, we are announcing the filing of a criminal complaint charging a Pennsylvania man with engaging in sadistic, violent, and sexual acts against a child. This case is also going to highlight a growing threat to American families. The nihilistic, violent extremism ideology, also known as NVE, which I'm going to talk about more in detail. Over the weekend, law enforcement arrested Matthew Edward Peischer of Bangor, Pennsylvania at a motel in Castaic. Peischer was discovered there with a victim, a girl who had only recently turned 13 years old. He had flown from Philadelphia that day to meet the victim, intending to engage in criminal sexual activity with her and to mutilate her. The defendant is charged with travel with intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct in violation of 18 U.S.C. 2423, a felony punishable by up to 30 years in federal prison. He's expected to make his initial appearance this afternoon in the United States District Court in downtown Los Angeles. As a reminder, he is charged on a criminal complaint, which is merely allegations, and he's considered innocent until proven guilty in court. I want to get into the details of the affidavit, which are a little graphic. Peischer and the victim met about 2 months ago on the internet using the Discord online platform. The victim was on this forum, and she was in a group chat discussing mental health issues. Peischer befriended the victim on this group chat, or in this forum, and he began grooming her, and eventually he engaged in direct communications with her. And in those communications, he encouraged her to send him sexually explicit material, and most disturbingly, he encouraged her to cut herself and to send him pictures of her harming herself. 10 days prior to this arrest, the victim's mother had discovered some of these messages and alerted law enforcement that she was being pressured to cut herself and send nudes by someone using the username Piano Man. On February 20th, law enforcement took the daughter's digital devices to try and identify the person behind this username. This effort quickly turned into an emergency situation when the FBI learned that the victim had fled her home and left behind a suicide note. Again, she just turned 13 years old. Law enforcement quickly identified Peischer as the person behind the username on Discord. And you're going to hear more about how law enforcement was able to track him down to a motel where the victim was found with him. In that motel, they found the victim, they found the defendant, they found a knife, they found razor blades, lubricant, bloody tissues, and a boarding pass for Peischer's flight from Philadelphia to Los Angeles. Law enforcement also found a Faraday bag, which is used by individuals who want to block their electronic signals in their devices. The victim told law enforcement that he had engaged in sexual conduct with her and that he used a knife to repeatedly cut her, and that he also choked her to the point where she couldn't speak. Based on law enforcement's review of the victim's smartphone and Peischer's online activities, including his coercion and incitement of minors to create self-harm videos, we believe that he is associated with this nihilistic, violent extremism ideology, NVE, one of the most twisted and disturbing ideas to crawl out of the internet. You may also recall that last year we had an explosion in Palm Springs. Also, it was a young male, early 20s, and he also espoused this ideology, this nihilistic, violent ideology. The way we have described it, NVEs are associated with individuals who engage in criminal conduct within the United States to further goals that derive mainly from a hatred of society and a desire to bring about its collapse by sowing indiscriminate chaos, destruction, and social instability. These individuals often work as part of a network, such as the notorious 764 network, with the goals of destroying civilized society. NVE-associated individuals target vulnerable populations in the US and around the world by using social media communication platforms to connect with others and to groom them. They often target vulnerable victims, like the victim in this case, a 12-year-old who was online to discuss mental health issues, and they start grooming them, extorting them, and coercing them to harm themselves and to film videos of themselves. Finding and arresting individuals who are part of this ideology and who act on it is one of the highest priorities of the Attorney General herself, the FBI, and this office. This is the second case in less than a week that our office has charged involving NVE activities. Okay, I want to take a moment now to speak directly to the parents. There's been a lot of talk lately about the dangers of the internet and social media. In fact, there's a trial happening just downstairs on this very issue. And to parents, I want to say, you may think you know what your kids are doing online, but you have no idea. Kids are being targeted and groomed on every platform you can imagine of. And this one happened to be the Discord platform, which many parents may have not heard of. Discord was created for gamers to communicate online. This is going to get a little graphic, but I think parents need to see what is happening to their kids online and how they're being groomed by individuals like this defendant. I'm going to show you some of the text messages or the DM messages between the defendant and the victim that transpired leading up to his arrest. You can see in this message that he is messaging the victim. He's telling her, quote, I like how the blood looks on skin. I think blades are hot, and I like the idea someone is doing something like that for me. So you can see he is in a private chat window. He found her on this platform. He targeted her because she was espousing mental health issues, and now he's grooming her. And she responds to him, I understand. Thank you for sharing. I'll keep it in mind next time. Do you like death? They're talking about cutting. This is the second image. He says, quote, I pretty much like all of them, LOL. Depends on how deep though. If I had to choose, I think styros to shallow beings are the best. The victim responds, I'll try my best when I do. And he sends her, it's redacted here, you can't see it, but he sends her one of her own pictures. She had sent him a picture of cutting herself to him, and he sent it back to her and saying, I like more of this, send me more. And then you can see here in the final message, he tells her, you can go as deep or shallow as you want. I love scratches, cuts, and pretty much anything else. Some are better at different times. I'm not picky. Victim responds, I just want to be the best for you. So I want parents to see, they may think their kids are simply gaming. They may think they're watching YouTube. There are people like this guy looking for your kids. They're going to befriend them, and these are the conversations. He's encouraging her to harm herself to the point where she's cutting herself and sending him pictures and nudes, and eventually she runs away from home to be with him at a hotel. And so the message today that I really want to get across is that any child with access to the internet is a sitting duck for these sick, deranged, and demonic individuals looking to harm your children. And we wish we had found her sooner, but we're lucky we found her this weekend. It could have been a lot worse, and there was, in the criminal complaint you'll see, there were talks about committing suicide later that day. So this could have been a lot worse. We're lucky she's now in safe with law enforcement and back with her parents. I want to really, really thank our law enforcement partners, namely the FBI, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, and the CHP for their help in saving this victim's life. It was a collective effort over the weekend to find her and to arrest this individual so he can't do this to any other children. And I'll put his picture back up here because there may be other victims out there, and if there are, we want to know about it and we'll find them. I'm going to turn it over now to Akil Davis. He's the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI Los Angeles Field Office.
Good morning. I'm Akil Davis, Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's Los Angeles Field Office. As First Assistant Essayli just said, on Thursday, my office received information from a parent who was concerned that her daughter was talked into harming herself by an individual she met online. That individual was just discussed. The victim in this case was in communication with the defendant, Peischer, for approximately 3 months on a free communication platform, as we just named, Discord. During that time, this young girl was allegedly coerced into harming herself by the defendant and to either run away or commit suicide together. Thanks to the notification of the victim's family, investigators identified Peischer and learned of his perverse plans. Investigators determined that the subject traveled from Philadelphia all the way out here to California to meet with the young victim and engage in sexual acts. Thanks to the tireless investigative effort by FBI agents and our partners that you see here today, Peischer was located and arrested on Friday night. I would like to personally thank the California Highway Patrol, Los Angeles County Police Department, LA County Sheriffs, who assisted significantly in this recovery. Unfortunately, nihilistic violent extremists targeting children is on the rise nationwide. The FBI is investigating more than 450 of these cases in targeting violent online networks, one of which is referred to as 764, that the FBI has referred to many times over the last 12 to 18 months. Last Thursday morning here in Southern California, we, along our Joint Terrorism Task Force, arrested an individual in Downey who was alleged to have coerced and enticed minor girls ages 11 and 15 to create and send him sexually explicit videos. In one of these videos, he coerced a girl to film herself engaging in self-harm, including self-mutilation. Let me be clear, the entire law enforcement community is extremely concerned about those loose networks of violent predators who prey on our children and other vulnerable individuals. My partners and I want to send a stern message to this vile community of child predators. We are committed to finding you and ensuring that you face serious consequences for your crimes. To the parents and caregivers, you are the first line of defense in keeping our children safe. Please stay engaged with your children. Monitor their online activities. If you notice changes in your child's behavior, or worse, physical injuries, please report any suspicious activity to law enforcement or the FBI. You can contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or tips.fbi.gov. Let's stand together to stop these predators. And now I'd like to turn it over to Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna.
Thank you, Akil, and good morning. I have some prepared statements, but you're going to hear a common theme today. One, if you look at the different agencies that are involved up here, from our federal partners to our state partners with the California Highway Patrol, and then with us working as we usually do with the Los Angeles Police Department. And realistically, I want to thank all of you, because parents, you need to hear what the first U.S. attorney just described, and even went out of his way to show you how wicked, I guess that's a word I can think of, there's others that I can use on camera, and this is just grotesque. Not only as a law enforcement official, but as a father. It is disgusting when you hear more details about this case. So this is a very disturbing case, and one that targets our most vulnerable, our children. As a parent, it strikes at the heart of every parent to know that such dangers do exist out there today. On February 20th of 2026 at approximately 4 p.m., our Sheriff's Major Crime Bureau investigators assigned to our Federal Bureau of Investigation's Joint Terrorism Task Force responded to assist in this ongoing investigation that's been described from involving this young female juvenile from the Northridge area who was being victimized by an individual linked to what you've already heard, the 764 extremist group. During the investigation, the juvenile fled her residence and was believed to be in immediate danger. And I reemphasize, we were responding to somebody who we felt was in immediate danger. Detectives learned that she had been in contact with for several months, as you heard earlier. You heard the suspect's name, and you heard the social media platforms described already. Evidence indicates that the suspect had been grooming her for self-harm. Again, we've heard about that already. So with the assistance of our partners with the California Highway Patrol and sheriff deputies, detained the suspect and safely recovered the victim. So I really want to tip my hat to the officers on the front line from the California Highway Patrol and our detectives. They literally saved this young lady's life. This young 13-year-old lady's or woman's life. So they're heroes. So thank you guys for that work that you did. A search warrant was executed and our sheriff's crime lab collected the evidence. Suspect was arrested and booked at the Santa Clarita Sheriff's Station for lewd and lascivious acts with a child under the age of 14. Our Sheriff's Special Victims Bureau was consulted and investigators ensured that the victim was taken for a medical evaluation and a forensic interview was also conducted. I have notes here on the 764. It's already been described. I'm not going to get into that. Parents, you got to pay attention, do some research on what this group does, because a lot of the suspects, the predators involved in this are teenagers, and the victims are very young. I want to go back to this case. This case also highlights the strength of our partnership with the JTTF, working in collaboration with all the partnerships you've seen up here. Since 9/11, the Sheriff's Department has been a member of this very, very important task force. And not only does it look at terrorism or international terrorism, but you see what's happening here on the internet with our kids. So you see what this partnership and how important it is. This partnership was critical in safely recovering this child and stopping this dangerous predator. So I'm incredibly proud of the dedication and quick investigative work by the men and women of our departments. It says department in here, but actually it was all of us, along with our federal partners. Their work has literally brought this child home safely and prevented further harm in our community. That's for that one incident. But what we're re-emphasizing is this is probably happening right now as we're sitting in this room, so we got to pay attention. We will continue working with all of our law enforcement partners to identify, disrupt, and hold predators accountable. Protecting our children is always and will always be our highest priority. This dangerous incident highlights a broader reality. Our children are increasingly vulnerable in online spaces. That's what my partners are talking about. Parents, you need to pay attention. I want to bring also that California lawmakers have introduced a bipartisan bill that sets a minimum age for social media accounts, with many supporting restrictions for teens under 16. That's something we're all going to pay attention to. Maybe something we can all get behind. We'll see what the details show. This effort is part of a broader push to protect children online, empower parents, and hold tech platforms accountable. But laws cannot protect our children alone. Every child, that is. Parental involvement is absolutely critical. Community awareness and early reporting is extremely important. I want to acknowledge the mother of this young child, because the mother is the one that pushed us. She said, hey, my kid's in danger, and that's where I'm talking to parents. Get involved. See what your kids are on, what they're paying attention to. It is your responsibility as a parent to get firmly involved. This is why law enforcement took the swift action that we took. I'm going to wrap up here, but I also want to give some additional tips. I can't stress this enough. Please monitor your child's online activity and have open conversations about the risk they face online. Limit the sharing of personal photos and videos. Remember this, it's not only the victims, because some of these suspects, or almost all these suspects, are young teenagers too. So pay attention to both sides of it. You don't want your kids victimizing folks. Pay close attention to warning signs, such as sudden withdrawal, mood changes, unexplained scars or cuts, secrecy about new online friends, receipt of anonymous gifts or virtual currency, talk of death or suicide. If your child appears to be struggling, connect them with mental health resources immediately. And if there is an immediate threat to their safety or your safety, please dial 911. Also, please know that yes, with our partners at the California Highway Patrol, we went into this motel room and rescued this child. But as soon as the suspect was in custody, which our folks did a great job with, the investigation continues. Our detectives from our Special Victims Bureau really wrapped their arms around this young lady. Folks, she's gonna need some help. And just please know that for us in law enforcement, it's not just about investigation and arrest, but really caring for the victims that we come across to make sure that this young lady can recover from this just absolutely horrific incident. With that, I'd like to introduce the police chief from the city of Los Angeles, my partner, Jim McDonnell.
Well, thank you very much, and again, thank you for being here. Today we stand together to announce the arrest of Matthew Peischer, who targeted, manipulated, and exploited a 13-year-old female victim. Because of the extraordinary work of the Joint Terrorism Task Force to include our federal, state, and county partners, that child is now safe, and the predator who harmed her is in our custody. This arrest is another example of the exceptional partnership that we have here in Los Angeles, and the LAPD is proud of the JTTF's relentless commitment to keeping this region safe. While this operation represents a significant success, our work is far from finished. Across the country, we continue to see instances where young people are being targeted, manipulated, or coerced into violent or cruel acts. This case underscores the real and persistent threat to our children posed by online predators, as well as the critical need for law enforcement agencies and community members to remain vigilant in protecting our most vulnerable. Nihilistic, violent extremism is an emerging threat facing children across America. It's a trend that every level of law enforcement is united to disrupt and dismantle. When you think about it, you wouldn't let your child go into a room with a sexual predator. But in essence, with the internet, if you use the web as your babysitter, you may be doing exactly that. So we really need to think about it and reconsider how we take care of our kids, who we trust, and not letting technology take over for what we should be doing. Today's suspect, part of the online group 764, operated in the shadows, exploiting children and teenagers through layered anonymity and deception. 764 members befriend and recruit young people in gaming platforms and social spaces, slowly eroding moral boundaries and coercing vulnerable young people into self-harm and violence. The efforts of the JTTF being shared here today reflect a modern, blended approach, traditional investigative skill, tips from the public, and advanced technology. Their efforts today did more than make an arrest. As you heard, they saved a young child's life. I want to also mention our partners in the private sector who continue to support our investigations. Their expertise is essential, and without their help, we would not be nearly as effective in identifying and apprehending predators that exploit others through various online platforms. Let me be absolutely clear. If you target children, if you exploit them, if you hide behind a screen believing anonymity will protect you, we are committed to finding you. We will hold you accountable, and we will not stop. To our community members, you certainly are our most important source of information. If you see something concerning, especially online, please reach out and say something. Your vigilance can prevent harm and potentially save a young person's life. As a father and a grandfather, I want to speak directly to the parents and caregivers listening. Your involvement matters. Stay engaged with your children. Closely monitor your child's online activities and make use of parental controls. Talk to your kids about these threats. Although these conversations will feel uncomfortable, they're critical to youth safety. Your awareness is one of the strongest tools we have to protect young people. Exploitation often begins quietly in digital spaces that can appear to be harmless. Remember, you're not alone. Our officers and our partners across the country are here to support you and your family. Today's rescue is a reminder of what's possible when we work together across agencies, across disciplines, and across communities. A young girl is safe because of that collaboration, and we'll continue to bring the same determination to every case, every victim, and every threat. In closing, I want to extend my gratitude to our media partners with us here today for sharing this important message with the public. You all play a critical role in raising community awareness of public safety issues, which again is necessary first step in preventing this and other types of crime. Again, thank you. Open it up for any questions with the first U.S. Attorney.
Did you want to say anything? No. Okay. I do want to just really commend and thank the CHP. Their officers were the first to be able to get on scene at that motel, and they made entry, and they literally saved that girl's life. So big shout out and thank you to the California Highway Patrol for their assistance. I just want to echo something that both the sheriff and the police chief said. This is really on parents. There's laws about regulating kids and what ages they can do social media. You have all the power you need right now to keep your kids safe. And I'm gonna go further than what they said. I don't think your kids should be online. There's no way for you to guarantee 100% that your kids are not gonna be groomed or approached by a guy like this. You cannot monitor what your kids are doing 100% of the time online. And if you look at all the data and studies, there's really nothing good that comes from kids being online at a young age. When you look at mental health issues, cyberbullying, sexual predators, I don't think it's a good idea. So if it were up to me, the kids would not be online. With that, we'll open it up to questions. Okay, no questions? Yes, ma'am.
Kind of concerning about the cartel attacks over the weekend. Is there any concern from the DOJ and local community about heightened attacks in the city?
Well, we're always on guard. We always have concerns. We are monitoring and looking for any activity related to that. I'm not aware of any immediate or pending threats, but we definitely are on a high alert for anything like that. Do you have anything else to add? No. Yes.
Was he tied to the cell out in Palm Springs during that explosion, or were it just part of that group?
Yeah, so there's no direct ties between him and the individual there in Palm Springs. And I want to be very clear. This isn't like a organized terrorist organization or something. This is an ideology, and they share this ideology. So that it's an idea that they have. These are very despondent young males, particularly. They have a very negative view on the world, and they want to bring society down. And so the way we identify them and categorize them is by their behavior. So he shared the same idea, same behavior as that individual we mentioned in Palm Springs, as well as other individuals that we've dubbed this 764 network. So that's what's hard about this new stuff, whether it's like Antifa or these groups. It's not like there's a membership list. It's anyone online who can read and adopt this stuff can implement these horrible tactics. Yes, sir.
So this group with this ideology, are they listed as a domestic terrorist group?
No, they're not listed as a domestic terrorist group because there isn't an organized group. And that's the scary part about this this can literally be anyone who has this ideology will just go online and they'll look for these young kids, male and female, and they will target them at any forum. It could be social media, it could be Discord, it could be any gaming platform that has a chat capability, and this is what they do. But there isn't like a membership list for this organization. It's a disturbing trend, particularly with young males that espouse these ideas. So it's, maybe sociologists or some experts can study it, but there's something very bizarre going on.
Can you explain for those that don't know what the group is about? What is it that they do? What are they about? What is it that they?
The best way I can explain is it is evil and it's sadistic. So they are themselves despondent with the world. They are probably depressed. They don't like the world. They want to see society crumble. And so the way they act on that is they look for depressed kids or kids who are vulnerable, and they convince them to hurt themselves, kill themselves, send sexual pictures and videos. And the reason they want the sexual videos and photos is so they can extort the kids, and they say, go cut yourself or I'm going to release these videos publicly. They use them as a form of control. So they want to bring down society, and they want to get other young people to join them and also be despondent with them. It's a very sick and twisted ideology. And again, they're looking for kids that are already vulnerable. This poor girl, maybe she felt isolated, she felt alone, and this guy befriended her and started talking to her, and you could see how he's using affection to try to persuade her to harm herself. Very dangerous. It only took a couple months from meeting him online to meeting him in a hotel room. Okay, and then he cut her and sexually abused her. That was only 2 months. So parents think they know what's going on. They have no idea. Yes, sir.
What is parents of these type of kids should they be looking for? What are the signs, or what is the commonality between these young males other than depression?
Parents, right now is a good time to go through your kids' phones, honestly. Go through your kids' phones. If you see any of these messages, especially if your kids are engaging or the change of behavior is a big one. So if your kid's acting differently, if you see any cuts specifically, you need to know what's going on. Parents have every right to check out what their kids are doing, especially we're talking 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. And then the advice I have, again, think about whether your kid should be online at all. Yes, sir.
So how do these followers communicate with each other aside from social media? I mean, are there challenges investigating?
Yeah, do you want to talk about how these guys talk to each other?
The main way this group is communicating with one another is through these online platforms. Well, not your big platforms that we all know, but the lesser known ones. So Discord is one of the main ones, and it's a gaming platform. But that's how they're communicating with one another. That is what First Assistant Essayli is trying to get across. Parents, I'm sure you're not playing Call of Duty every night and on Discord and talking to your adult friends about these games and how awesome they are. You need to lean into what's going on in your kids' lives on these platforms. So there's dozens of these type of platforms.
Are they also communicating on the encrypted WhatsApp, Telegram?
Signal, WhatsApp, Telegram, they're using all of those.
Okay, thank you.
This question, I believe, is for Sheriff Luna. I think he commented on it. You mentioned that the parent, the mother, was a driving force in assisting to rescue her daughter. Can you describe some more on that?
Other than to tell you, and it's been stated several times before, you need to be engaged, fully engaged with your children. And when this young lady ended up in a hospital room, the mother took it upon herself to start looking through her phone, which is something we recommend for all parents. And once she started looking through her phone, she started to find a lot of disturbing messages. That has been shown up here. So if she wouldn't have done this, that young lady today probably wouldn't be alive. So again, you talk about drunk driving, putting keys in your kids' hands. You've got to make sure, because every young child, and there's an argument about how old the child should be before you put a phone in their hand. You need to pay attention to who they're talking to and monitor it, or don't have it at all. I don't disagree with what's been said up here, that maybe kids under a certain age shouldn't have access to social media. It is having a negative impact on children, and this case that we are presenting to you, and this is the reason we're up here in front of all of you, if this doesn't send a strong message to all the parents that you need to make sure you understand what your children are doing, nothing would. The only thing more tragic would be is if we were reporting her death. But thank God, because of the heroic work, we were on top of it. We saved this young lady's life. We don't want to have to do that over and over again. Parents, you need to help us out here. You need to do your jobs. Thank you.
All right. Did you miss anything? Okay. All right. With that, thank you very much.